hi everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Sharon Parks. I'm the UROP director, and I will be teaching the class today. And I also have Alyssa with me. Why don't you introduce yourself, tell them your name and your major, and what kind of research you do.
Thank you. So my name is Alyssa. I'm a fourth year nursing science major here at UCI. Some of you have probably heard from me before. I've been here for one of the last panels. I currently do research involving improving maternal and fetal health in underserved populations right around Orange County, and I've been doing research so far for about 3 years. So yeah.
She's one of our ambassadors. Oops. Oh, see, I guess I got to be careful about this going through the PowerPoint. There we go. And so for those of you who just came in, you can sit wherever you like. Do be sure you put your attendance code in. And we will get started as soon as I get this back on me. Trying to technology. All right. So today's topic is how to interact with faculty. As you know, last week we had a faculty panel, and they were coming and talking about what types of things that they're looking for in undergraduate student researchers, and gave a lot of hopefully great advice. And I think the first thing we would like to do is kind of just ask you and get a general discussion going about, did you learn anything about interacting with professors from last week's panel? Anything you'd like to share? Yeah. That they're actually way more friendly. Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. I just came from a faculty board meeting. So we have 15 faculty, one from each school, on our UROP faculty board. And I was just telling them, we were reporting out about the discussion last week. And they're so surprised to hear that feedback, that students are intimidated to go talk to them. And they're like, we're real people, we're fine. Like, why, And they understand why there is that sentiment. But they really did make the point that, they question, why does nobody come to my office hours? Like, what's wrong with me, et cetera, et cetera. They want you there. They want to talk to you. So I just heard that reinforced again and again. So, to the extent that you can really push past that intimidation factor and actually go talk to them, and you'll see they are real people, and they like to talk about their research, and they're in this profession. They want to help students. For those of you coming in, go ahead and you can have a seat wherever you like, and then you can just put in your code. That would be great. Any other observations or feedback that you learned from the faculty here at the panel? Yeah. Yeah. So that the comment was, they're not all business, they're not all academics, that they actually, again, go get boba with their students. They like to have fun. They have hobbies just like you. I mean, I think that's, if you can find ways in which you have commonalities and ways in which you connect, yes, it's the academic piece, but there's other pieces too where you can really connect with them. So, yeah. Anything else? Anything you learned about what they're looking for in student researchers? Quiet group. Yeah.
Students are curious and not genuinely want to know why.
So I missed the first part. What was the first thing you said?
Students that are genuinely curious.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. They want students who are genuinely curious in their research topic, and they're interested in that. So again, you don't need to be the expert. Of course, you won't be the expert compared to them, but that you're genuinely curious and you really want to learn more about what they're researching. Yeah. Okay, good. Well, hopefully that was helpful to you in, again, learning that they are real people and that they're approachable and that they want to talk to you and maybe buy you boba someday. So just starting off, where do you interact with faculty and where can you build relationships and network? Of course, in the classroom, that's the most obvious place. They really want people to participate. You know, the more that you participate in discussions you have in class, you know, they love that because a lot of people are more quiet and maybe don't speak out as much, and they want to impart that knowledge and have that conversation. So keep that up. Also, again, the office hours. You know, they schedule these office hours and nobody shows up. And so they're waiting for you. So if you go in there and you show that interest and curiosity, that is a way to really start to develop that relationship. Sometimes there are networking events within your school or within the department. Certainly on-campus organizations, a lot of clubs and orgs might have faculty advisors or graduate student advisors. So that's a great way to network with them in those settings. Depending on what you're going to be doing, you're going to have to email them possibly to ask for a meeting or to ask questions. So we're going to go over a little bit about how to compose professional emails that you can send. And then in some cases, they may have an application to work in their lab. And so obviously, you want that to be as professional as possible, and we can help with that too. Always remember the purpose of interacting with a professor is to build a connection. Find a faculty mentor that you enjoy working with. So, you know, it's not just, it is the research, and that's a big part of it, but you want to make sure that it's going to be a good fit for what you're looking for in terms of mentorship. And are they going to provide you the mentorship that you are seeking? And sometimes that, you know, some situations are more ideal than others. And so we'll talk a little bit about if it's not exactly what you want, you can still gain a lot from the experience. But you really want to build that relationship and that connection, and that's your goal. So do your research to find faculty. So I'll go over some of these links maybe a little bit towards the end, but we did already have an assignment where you watched, you either went to, we talked about the Get Involved in Research workshop, and we went over that in, I think, our first class, either first or second class, kind of, and our steps. So we have a section on our website that says Getting Started, and we walk you through the steps about how do you determine what it is you might want to research, how do you find faculty that have that expertise, and then how do you reach out to them, how do you compose an email, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll go over this today, and all that information is also linked to our website. So if you want to go back to it, if you want to watch a recording of what we talked about, it's all there. So do go back if you need it. Once you're starting to think about who, you know, what you want to research, and you need to find out who is going to be an expert in that field, definitely look up their bio information on their departmental website. So many of them will have, you know, obviously their name and their field and what they teach, but then they'll go into more detail about their background, their publications, et cetera, et cetera. So do read through that. Read through their recent work. Find 2 or 3 or 4 recent publications and read them. Because not only, if you're interested in that topic, you might get really excited about what you're reading about, and it will help you to determine who you want to approach to possibly do research with. So do read through those publications. Ask students what it's like to work with them. So if you can find students who work in a particular lab, you can ask them, just like you do, I'm sure, about classes, right? What is this professor like? What did you like about them? What do you not? What are the types of things that you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. And understand why you want to work with them. What do you want to get out of the experience? What are your goals? What's most important to you? And consider your needs in terms of, you know, do you need to be more flexibility? Are certain labs more rigid with your time? And really, is that going to be a good fit for what you need outside of the research itself? So who's been to office hours before? Good, good. Oh, yay, quite a few. Oh, I'm impressed. Good, excellent. So that's great, but for those of you who have not, it's a common misconception that office hours are just for questions regarding the course that you're taking. And while obviously that is why they are there, there's a lot of other things to consider. So when you go to office hours, you might have questions about the class, about the assignments, about the content of the research or the topic that's being discussed in class, but you can also ask these types of questions. So how did you get involved in your research as an undergraduate student? What drew you to the work that you are doing now? Are there any resources you recommend? And remember, resources are hard copy resources, but they're also other people. There might be other people to refer you to talk to. And do you know of any research related to this topic that I'm interested in? And again, if they are people, faculty are people, they're excited about their research, they're passionate about it. So if you show interest, they're going to get excited about that, and they're going to want to share that with you and help you find a good mentor. So we talk about networking. What is networking? Establishing and maintaining mutually beneficial connections with people in your field of interest. And how do you network? We talk about a couple of different things. Have an online presence. So first of all, we've got LinkedIn. How many people have a LinkedIn profile? Okay, not as many. That's really good for no matter what you want to do, whether it's for jobs, for internships, for research. But it's a great way when you are applying to research, to labs, and eventually to graduate school, to have that profile filled out with your professional connections, your skills. Sometimes people can make comments about your skills and background. That's really great to have in place. So if you don't already have that, I encourage you to look into that. Always be ready to talk about yourself. We talk about like an elevator pitch. How many people have heard of an elevator pitch? How many people have one? Okay, good. At least you know you want to get one. So usually it depends on who you talk to, but it's a 60 to 90 second pitch about who you are, what your background is, and in this case for research, why are you interested in this research opportunity? So it's kind of, and if you don't know, it got its name from like you're on the elevator, you meet somebody new, and you only have the amount of time that you're in the elevator riding from the 5th floor to the 1st floor to tell them about yourself, right? So you want to have that prepared, and then you can expand the conversation if you have more time or if you're actually in the office hour, but that will get the ball rolling. Handshake is a resource. It's an online resource on campus where there are both job postings, internship postings, research postings, and you can also put your resume on there. So the Division of Career Pathways is a fantastic office on campus that I think a lot of students don't go see until their senior year. So you're getting a great head start. I highly recommend Division of Career Pathways website has a ton of resources for professional development, for crafting a resume, a CV, critiquing it. You could meet with an advisor there. And then they've got this handshake when you're looking for opportunities. Again, work, internships, research, etc. So we do have links to their resources that I'll show you at the end. But if you haven't already been to see them, definitely check out their resources, both online but also in person. And they have workshops as well. And keep in mind, you're always networking. You're always on. So look for those opportunities. You might be at, again, a club meeting, and an advisor comes in and they talk about something that you're interested in. Go talk to them at the end. Ask them questions. And then be prepared to follow up. That's another way that having an online presence can be really helpful. If you have a LinkedIn profile, you can link in. And certainly, I know you all have Instagram and TikTok and all those, but LinkedIn is a good one for professional connections. And then you're connected that way. And then again, use your resources. So I think I'm going to wait until the end. I've got a slide that kind of has a variety of resources. But resources are online, but resources are also people. So part of that is the UROP staff, the UROP advisors, our student staff, our ambassadors, and our peer advisors. They are resources here and available to you to help you and guide you through the process. So everything we talk about today, hopefully most of it will make sense and you'll get on your way. But if you get stuck, if you get intimidated, if you need a little hand-holding or a little support, we are here for that. So use your resources to be successful in networking and finding faculty to mentor you. And be likable, be nice, be friendly. I shouldn't have to tell you that, but obviously people want to like you if they want to work with you. So Alyssa, do you want to show? I gotta remember to give you this. No, that's okay. Oh, I hope I didn't fall. All right. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
What has your experience been with networking?
Yeah, so I actually joined research in my freshman year, and it was COVID, so I didn't have too many in-person opportunities to really network, but I did end up joining a organization for nursing, and that was where they brought in a lot of professional panels. They would bring in the professors to kind of tell us about their fields and what they do, their careers, and a lot of them would also bring in their research because it's a big part of their field, big part of our field. And because of that, I was able to kind of learn about what certain professors are doing, what I might be interested in, what I thought was cool and I wanted to get a head start in perhaps. And that was ultimately how I ended up reaching out to my current faculty mentor, was actually through email, where I was like, I knew that she had opportunities and positions opening in her research team. So I was like, hey, I heard that you have places open. I really enjoy your research. I really enjoy the topic that you're studying, and I want to join. If you have the opportunity to give me a chance to get to know me more, I would love to be able to do so. And that was one of my first ever, I guess, opportunities and ways that I've ever actually networked in the field of research. Outside of that, I do agree that networking is a constant. Like, everyone you meet technically is your network. So that being said, LinkedIn is amazing. At the same time, you can even still use Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Just the people that you meet around campus, the people that you meet in your classes, maybe the TAs, LAs are often ones that are of higher, they might even be graduates or just upper division undergrads. They have a lot of experience in that field a lot of times because they have been where you guys are right now. So to be able to connect with them and reach out and be like, hey, like, tell me about your field. Just Instagram, it's a lot less intimidating at times, so you can very much so still use that to your advantage in order to network. And it's honestly one of my favorite things to do, to kind of like meet people and add them and be like, hey, so what do you do? So definitely be likable, be personable, just get to know people. At the end of the day, it can be very scary to network, but at the same time, like we were mentioning at the very beginning, and I guess everyone learned from the professional panel last week, or week before that, I'm not sure. But they're still people. They like to talk about what they like to do, and it may seem scary at first, but they're probably like, why do you want to talk to me too? So give them a chance to talk about themselves, their research, and honestly, it will work out most of the times because they just, you have a passion. It works.
That's great. Thank you. And you brought up a really good point too about your networking with your peers, not only, upperclassmen, like, because they've gone through this already. So just like our ambassadors and our peer advisors, like, you can gain from their wisdom, but also your peers, you're going through college together and you're going to graduate and you're going to go into your field. And a lot of these people will become your professional colleagues. So great point that I didn't make. So thank you. Okay, so on-campus organizations, these are some great ways to make connections as well with people who have like-minded interests as you. So certainly you can find an academic or a research-orientated club to join, but it doesn't have to be, right? So if you find something based on other things that you're interested in, you're going to find like-minded people that could be in a variety of majors and disciplines, but it can really expose you to a lot of new ideas and new things, and you can decide, if that's a good fit for you. Find a group that feels right, and we have Find UCI Campus Organizations. If you go on campus groups, there's a whole bunch of them on there, and so you can see a list and just reach out to ones that sound like they're of interest to you. Surround yourself with people who share your same goals. And you can also use this to reach out to professors and graduate students. So again, a lot of these clubs and orgs have advisors who sometimes are professional staff, sometimes are faculty or grad students, but you can usually connect with people that way, ask questions, and ask the advisor for any guidance on how do you, again, learn more about your field as well as connect with faculty and graduate students and PIs. Yeah, and this is always good to add these types of activities to your resume, grad school applications, et cetera, et cetera. And then a little tip here, subscribe to their mailing list even if you're not a member on campus groups. You can get on there if they have one, because then you're alerted to upcoming events and activities and sometimes opportunities. Sometimes they might be advertising openings in a lab or faculty who are looking for student researchers. And so you can find about opportunities that way, even if you're not a member of their org. So, any student organizations that helped you find the right research community?
I have a lot of organizations, so I will say preface that you do not have to be in this many organizations. But the first organization I was talking about earlier with the professional panels was Alpha Tau Delta. It's a nursing-specific professional fraternity, so that's why it was very easy to get to know the panel there, because that's basically what they're there to do, is to provide panels and resources in the field of nursing. I also ended up becoming a mentee in my first and second year for Nursing Science Student Council. So that was also nursing specific, but basically I had a fourth year UCI nursing major who was able to kind of walk through nursing with me. I got to ask her about research because at that point I was already interested. So I was like, do you know anything about research? Do you know any people in research? Do you recommend certain types of research? So I got to hear from her and also get to know some people that she might know from that, from her own circles in fourth year, because at that point, a lot of the people were already in research programs. So those are my two academic kind of oriented club/organizations. But as the last slide mentioned, social organizations work really well too. I, at one point, was part of Dragon Boat, and that's as a team on campus. I don't know if anybody knows it, but it's kind of like rowing. There's a lot of students from different disciplines on campus. There's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of business people, and all of them too, because research doesn't have to be in your specific field, it's great to get to know them, because a lot of them are also in research but in their own majors or in teams that aren't even related to their majors. So it's really cool to be able to have that network, to be able to talk to them about that and be like, why'd you get into this when you're in this major? Or what can you tell me about the research in your current major? Because at that point I was like, I could stick with nursing. I also don't have to stick with nursing for research. So I thought it was a really good opportunity to be able to talk to people. I'm also still currently in a Asian American Christian club on campus, so that was also a great opportunity to meet third and fourth years who were in research, who could also tell me about what they were doing. And I ended up also joining a volunteer organization. It changed its name over the years, but it's now called Cariño Student Outreach Clinic. It caters to the population in Orange, the homeless population in Orange. So that also kind of gave me a better idea of the research field that I wanted to be in, because that's when I realized I would really like to be able to do something more with research to be able to help out these people. So that's the majority of the organizations that I was in that helped along the way.
Great, thank you. I'm not used to this handheld keyboard, so sorry for advancing the slides there. Okay, email. So, certainly if you do have a professor that you're in a class with, try to develop that relationship and network in class. Talk to them at the end of class, go to their office hours, et cetera, et cetera. But you may find that if there's a topic you're interested in that you're not in a class and you have to reach out to faculty that you've never met before, maybe. We know a lot of people, again, are a little intimidated about emailing professors they don't know, and we think it's really important for you to be successful at it. We want to give you some advice, because as we all know, I think all of us get inundated with emails, and that includes faculty. And so we want you to craft an email that's really going to be effective, that's going to catch their attention so that they will read it and respond to it and move forward with it. So a few points here. Be formal when you contact faculty that you don't know. It's one thing if you already have established a relationship with a professor and it's informal and you're already calling them by first name, that's fine. But in the case where you don't know somebody or you're not sure, err on the side of being more formal than not. So always address them appropriately, either by Dr. Parks or Professor Parks. Me, you don't have to do that. You can call me Sharon. But, always address them by their title. Avoid using contractions, just informal writing. Instead of saying don't or can't, do not, cannot. Spell that out, be formal in your writing. Of course, don't use slang or abbreviations or anything like that. Use full sentences. Again, this is not texting. right? So it's not like really brief things. It is formal writing. No emojis. So no smiley face, winky, hearts or anything like that. And one thing I've noticed sometimes students do forget to have a professional sign off. So sign it professionally, sincerely, and then full name, Sharon Parks. Don't not put your name, don't, make it slang, et cetera, et cetera. Reply within a reasonable time frame. And actually, this next point I probably should have been first. So use an appropriate subject line. Put in a subject line that's going to make sense. Request to meet. Request to learn more about your research. Undergraduate researcher opportunities, etc., so that they'll know why you're contacting them. And then, if and when they contact you back, reply within a reasonable time frame. So if they reply to your email, don't wait a week to write them back, right? If they reply, be on it, and 2 days maximum, you want to respond with whatever is appropriate for them, whatever they're asking you or telling you in that email. So do be sure when you're contacting professors, you are on top of your email so you don't let something go by for a week and then see it a week later and go, because then they may not respond to you after that, right? So the other thing is be persistent, and I like to say persistent but not pushy. As I said, professors are people too, and they get inundated with email, they get overwhelmed. So sometimes they may not respond, and that is the feedback. My faculty board, when we had a faculty panel last year, so many of them said that, like, I'm just so busy, I just get inundated, and I might not respond right away, but that does not mean I don't want to work with you or I don't want to talk to you. It just means I'm a busy person. Just like you all, I'm sure we've all had experience where we've missed an email, right? So wait a week so that you're not being pushy. You don't want to write them and then the very next day if they don't respond, be on them, right? Give them a week to respond. But if they don't respond after a week, try again. And again, it's all being nice and being proactive, but being friendly. You could resend the message, hi, just wanted to see if you've had a chance to look at this. Really excited for the possibility of talking with you. Hope to hear from you soon. How persistent you want to be, that's kind of a personal choice. Usually I would email a faculty member 2 to 3 times, maybe a week apart. Maybe after the 3rd time, if I don't hear back, I might give up and start looking for somebody else. But I think it is appropriate at least a few times to reach out. Hopefully you'll get a response within the 2nd or 3rd time. I will also say we're going to go over emails. If you find that you're not getting a lot of responses, come ask for help. Come meet with either one of our student staff or a professional staff member, because sometimes what I've seen happen is when I look at someone's email, I'm like, I can see here why they didn't respond. Let's work on this email. And we can help guide you and get you up to speed with having an email that will get you hopefully a response. One of the things we didn't specifically mention is you probably don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. You might want to be looking at 2, 3, 4 faculty who could be a good fit. And then it's up to you whether you want to email them all at the same time, or maybe you want to start with one, see how far you get and move to the next. You certainly don't want to commit to one and then commit to another one and then renege on this first one, right? But in terms of doing the initial outreach, you don't know how long it's going to take. So again, for me, I might send 2 or 3 faculty emails, see what I get back. I could have a few interviews. I could meet with a few people and then decide. Or maybe I email 3 and only 1 writes back. Maybe that's the one I go with, right? So, and then do be aware that faculty take time off during breaks. So if it's summer, if it's winter break, you might not get a response. And that's a hard one over summer because that's a long period of time. But a lot of times faculty don't teach in the summer, so they check out, they do other things. So just keep in mind on breaks you might not get as timely of a response. So what happened to you when you emailed?
Keep forgetting to turn on all the mics.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, what will be like a good email title?
You know what? Actually, our draft email doesn't have a title. I would, depending on what you're asking, I would say request to meet, request to talk to you about your research. You might have some. What did you say?
I'm pretty sure I just said request to learn more about your research or request to join your research team. This is working. It seems like it's working, right? Is
Yeah.
it working? Okay.
Can everyone hear?
Yeah?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Um, does that help? Kind of? Yeah? Okay. In terms of emailing my faculty mentor for the first time, I actually, when I was preparing for this, I actually went back and searched up my first ever email because I was also interested to see what I had done. So I actually emailed, I believe at the end of my fall quarter. I started in winter, my freshman year, and I didn't get a response the first time. So it does happen. Like, I should not get a response. I was like, okay, she doesn't know me. Like, it's fine. I'm going to wait a little bit. And then after joining my nursing fraternity and then also just going through a couple quarters of college, I was like, okay, I think that I still would like to get involved in research. I think that I still have the capacity to do so. So then I followed up and I was like, hi, I I emailed you before. I just wanted to say that I'm still really interested in joining your research team if that is possible. I have heard of your research from upperclassmen, and they really enjoy working with you, and I would like to get to know you more, get to know your research more if you have the opportunity. I would love to talk with you and speak with you. And so that was my second time. I think I got lucky that she responded the second time, but she actually ended up saying, I don't know, it's probably true, but she was like, oh, I'm sorry, your first email got lost in my inbox, which being a professor, being a researcher, it makes complete sense because you just get spammed with all these different things from different disciplines. She has an interdisciplinary team as well, so she's getting emails from professors and other majors. So I was like, that totally makes sense. Thank you for responding to me this time. I'm glad it got through. And we went from there. So yeah, it happens though. They're not just trying to ignore you sometimes. It really just gets lost.
Great. Thank you. Let's see. So, what do you put in the email and how do you craft it? So actually there is a subject line. I forgot there was one in here. Request for appointment. Remember, the goal of the email is not to get the research appointment or to get into a lab. The goal of the email is to get the appointment. The goal of the email is to meet with the faculty member. So first of all, you want to keep it relatively short and sweet because how do you all feel where you see pages of an email, right? You're not going to read it, are you? Faculty are the same. So we recommend 3 paragraphs, and we have at the end, we do have a template on our website, which I will show you at the end that goes into a little more detail than this. But kind of think about it this way. Paragraph 1, introduce yourself. So a brief paragraph, who you are, what year in school you are, what's your major, and something about your research interests. I'm really interested in this topic because blah, de blah. Right? So something relatively brief. Certainly, if you do have experience that's related, you might want to share that. So if you've done some prior research in high school, or if you took a class on a topic, you could throw that in as well. But again, don't feel like you have to have experience, because the feedback I've heard from faculty is what's most important is that you're passionate about the topic, you're curious about the topic, and having direct experience in most cases is not essential to getting into that lab. There might be certain ones that might require certain requirements, expertise, etc., but in most cases that's not the case. Paragraph 2, them. Highlight their expertise. Why are you interested in working with them? That's where it's going to be really critical that you do a little bit of research before you write the email. So you read one of their publications, you read their bio on their website, you know something about them so that you can connect the dots. I'm interested in this topic, you research this topic. Either my interest is because of this or my background makes me prepared to work in your lab, et cetera, kind of connect those dots. And again, this is where one of the biggest weaknesses I see is students oftentimes are focused on themselves and what they're going to get out of the experience. That's fine, but you want to treat this kind of like a job application or grad school application. You want to be able to articulate, why are you going to be a good researcher in their lab? And again, that's okay if you don't have the experience, but then you want to be able to demonstrate, I'm really excited about the possibility because I heard this about, I heard from other students about why this was a valuable experience for them. I read your article on this, and I'm really excited to learn about it because I want to go into a career or grad school in this. Or I know a lot of you are, most of you are freshmen, and you might not know that yet, and that's okay. So even if you can't make a direct connection, you want to at least be able to articulate why are you interested in them specifically, not just research in general, but why you don't want to do research with Sharon Parks, right? So put that, and again, short paragraphs. And then the paragraph 3, ask for an appointment. I would really love to be able to talk with you more about your research. Would you be available to meet sometime in the next few weeks, et cetera, et cetera? I look forward to hearing from you. You could throw out your availability as well, but I probably would just first ask if they're available to meet, see what they say, and then you can go on in the scheduling portion of it. So I do have a template on our website I'll show you that goes into a little more detail, but that's kind of in a nutshell what you want to include in the email without making it too long. In some cases, there are labs that have applications to be in their lab. In most cases, that is not the case. In most cases, you are going to have to talk with faculty directly, and it's going to be very individualized. However, if you do go and they have an application process, you might have to fill out an application online. You might need a variety of these things: transcripts, a resume or a CV, cover letter, letter of recommendation, and/or prerequisite courses. It's highly variable. So you'll just have to look into the labs that you're interested in, and most will not require these materials. If you do need a resume, CV, cover letter, again, Division of Career Pathways, they can definitely help you with that. We typically recommend don't include those items unless they're being asked for. So just go ahead and pay attention to whatever you're applying to and submit whatever is needed. So, what did your faculty mentor ask for?
Yeah, so my faculty mentor, when she first responded in email, we set up a date to actually talk. It was not really an interview, just more so I get to know you. And I'll go into what she kind of asked then. But when she first responded in email, she asked for my availability. So that's where it comes in handy to kind of know your schedule, know your limits, know what you have time for, so that you can tell them like, hey, I can dedicate this many hours to research and dedicate it. So it kind of shows like your ability to commit to the project that you're going into. Some of them are like high intensity projects. You have to go into labs. Those often take more time. If you're more independent research, then sometimes they'll just cater that towards your availability too. So it's really nice to be able to know how much time you can commit to that. Also, she asked me how long I can be on the project for. I will say the disclaimer that I said that I would have until basically when formal nursing school started. So that would have been sophomore winter quarter. Evidently, I'm still in it. So that wasn't really like a hard, they're going to kick me out deadline. Thankfully, though, because I still really enjoy research. And she asked for my CV/resume. I personally have a CV because I think it's a lot easier to have a CV and then dwindle it down to what you need for a resume when the time comes, if you can only submit a resume. I submitted my entire CV because I was like, look at me, I want you to know about me, and my CV has a lot more space to do stuff with.
And for those who don't know, a CV is a longer version of a resume. Kind of focus more on academics, typically.
It stands for curricula vitae. It basically, you can include like your, some of them you can include your hobbies. I feel like at this point you probably don't need to do that. But in terms of education and then work experience, if you have any other research experience for whatever reason, volunteer experience, and then extracurriculars. So that was a big thing for me, that I could include extracurriculars on my curricula vitae, because my resume would not fit in one page if I included my extracurriculars. So that's what I did for that when she first emailed me back. And then when I talked to her, that was the whole like, tell me about why you want to be part of my team. Why do you have a passion for this? And for me, it was, the big draw in for me was that she was serving the underserved population. That was what her research was catered towards. So I kind of delved into that and how I kind of grew up always learning about the idea that like people cannot be defined by their circumstances. So I was a big proponent of I wanted to help out the homeless, the underserved, those who don't have conventional access to healthcare, those who don't have conventional access to resources. So that was kind of my like passion point, I guess. And then she also, let's see, what is she? Ooh, I'm blanking. She also asked if I had any not necessarily research experience, but just research in general with the topic that she was working on. So at the time when I entered, her project was an interdisciplinary project. It was nursing, it was engineering, and there was a couple other schools involved as well. So it was a big project focused on being able to use technology in improving maternal and fetal health in populations. And I didn't have like a direct connection, so I kind of just pulled something that was close. And I had actually done a paper in Writing 39C, which I don't think that's what it's called anymore. It's the third course, whatever, for undergraduate writing. I had done a paper on transhumanism, which is basically the ability to use technology to extend life. So I was kind of just talking about that, and I was like, I learned about technology. I think technology is really cool and can definitely be used in the healthcare field. I want to learn other ways that it can be used, especially for the underserved population. So those were the two big questions that she asked me that I got to kind of show my passion with about too, just by kind of ranting, but telling her why it was important to me.
That's great. And I like that you took it from a paper that you did, right? So, good. All right. So, talk to them. So, when you do get that appointment, be prepared. So, again, refresh your memory on their work and their background. Have some questions prepared. And remember, this is kind of a two-way street in an interview. So, you want them, obviously, to like you and to want to take you on, but also you want to ask some questions about them and their research and maybe their style and anything else that would help you to make a decision about, is this something you want to join? Is this a good fit? Be ready to talk about anything you've already put in the email, elaborate on any examples you've given, and then kind of these basic things that I feel like I shouldn't have to say, but sometimes you do, is be on time. Take it seriously. Treat it like a job interview, even though it's not. It's just an appointment. Be polite. Be honest. Don't embellish. You can certainly take transferable experiences and talk about them, but don't embellish. Don't feel the need to try and impress, or, you want to make sure that you're being honest and transparent. And don't feel the pressure to say all the right things and, I'm going to make a mistake. Like, again, you're human, you're a student, so just be sure you're prepared there. Relax. And then thank them for their time and send them a thank you email. I'm always surprised at how few people send thank you emails afterwards, and it really stands out when you do. So thank you so much for your time. And if there's anything you want to emphasize, I really got excited when you talked about this, or, I forgot to tell you about this experience I had, that would really be a good fit. So send them that thank you. What if it's not a good fit? So what if after the appointment you come out saying, I don't want to do that? That's okay. So not every research opportunity needs to be your perfect project. So one option is, if it's good enough, then use this as your stepping stone. Try it, do it, get some experience, and then maybe later on in your academic career you can do something else. You can also say no. So if it's not a good fit, thank them for their time, send them that email, and upon reflection, I'm no longer interested, or I've found another opportunity. And you don't have to accept if you are given an offer. Keep using your resources, keep trying, meet with a UROP advisor, either student or staff, if you need more help after that. In the interest of time, I'm going to have you do this last one at the very end. I want to point out a few additional resources, and this is where we'll see how I do here. I don't even know how to do it on. Yeah, there we go. Can you tell this is my first time using the portable thing? UROP website, if you just scroll down. I'm not going to be able to scroll. I don't like this. There we go. This section here, getting started. Watch the workshop recordings. So if you forget some of the things we talk about, watch that. It'll be a refresher. Our Get Involved in Research worksheet has some great things to think about. Faculty profile system and Google Scholar to research faculty. And our sample faculty email. It does the download. Bummer. But this goes into more detail about what to put in that faculty email. So I kind of talked about it, but this gives you more examples of things to include. So that's really good. Oh, great. And with that being said, let me get back. I can't get back to my slide. So the other resources, Division of Career Pathways, and then also making an appointment with the UROP advisor and the Writing Center. The Writing Center on campus is on the first floor of the Science Library. They can also proofread your emails, your essays, personal statements, CVs, resumes, etc. So with that, any last words of wisdom?
Honestly, just be personable. If you get to talk to them in person, even if you get to talk to them on Zoom, be nice, smile, be willing to talk, ask them about themselves. You can't really do this through Zoom, but make eye contact. Don't be looking elsewhere really like the entire time. And yeah, I really like the last point about being honest. Like if you don't know something, that is completely okay. If you want to turn that into something that will make you a little more outstanding, you can always be like, oh, but I don't know this, but I would love to learn more. Let me get back to you. Or I don't know this. Do you have any thoughts on it that you'd be willing to share with me? And yeah, I mean, just be professional, be nice, be willing to talk. Don't be scared. It's really okay. And at the end of the day, like know that what you're going into is going to be something that you're going to have a good time doing, and it'll be fine at the end of the day. Yeah, you guys will be good.
Thank you. Well, thank you for sharing your wisdom. And we will stick around up here. We ran out of time for questions, but if you do have questions you want to ask, either Alyssa or myself, we'll be here. Otherwise, thank you for your attention, and you're free to go. And have a good rest of your day. Thanks.